Every legend has a beginning, and every legend has an end. Far beyond the cities of men, beyond the green forests and the silver rivers, there is a desert where the sun burns like a golden eye. In that desert lives a bird older than memory itself, a creature of flame, silence, and impossible return. The phoenix. For 500 years, it has flown across the world, carrying the weight of half a millennium in its wing. It has watched empires rise from dust and fall back into dust. It has seen oceans change their shores, mountains lose their snow, forests become ash, and children become ancestors. But even immortality has a rhythm. Even the phoenix has a final hour. Its golden feathers, once bright as sunrise, begin to lose their fire. The light fades at the edges. The wings grow heavy. The eyes, ancient and deep, hold too many memories. Wisdom is powerful, but wisdom is heavy. Memory is a burden. And now, the internal clock strikes the end of one life. The phoenix does not run from this moment. It prepares. It flies to a dead cedar tree under the burning sky and begins to gather the sacred materials of transformation. Cinnamon, myrrh, resin, dry branches filled with ancient scent. It does not build a grave. It builds a cradle, a sanctuary for the transition, a final nest for the old self, and the first temple of the new. As the sun begins to set, long red shadows stretch across the desert. The bird settles into the center of the nest. Around it, the world becomes still, as if the wind itself understands what is about to happen. Surrender is the first step to power. A single spark appears. At first, it is small, almost fragile, a tiny point of orange light in a bed of dry wood. Then the spark grows. Smoke rises in thin blue ribbons. The scent of myrrh and resin fills the air. Flame catches the branches. Green fire flashes through the spices. Gold light reflects in the phoenix's eyes. The bird spreads its wings. It does not fight. It embraces the inevitable. The fire climbs higher, forming a wall between lives. Feathers begin to glow. The old body burns not in defeat, but in ceremony. The physical yields to the eternal. The phoenix tilts its head back and releases one final cry, a song of release that echoes across the desert like a prayer. Then the fire turns white. Blinding, pure, absolute. For a moment, the bird becomes the light itself. The silhouette dissolves. The form disappears. Everything that was is gone. And then there is silence. In the aftermath, nothing moves. The nest has vanished. The cedar branches are charcoal. The air is still warm, but the flame is gone. Where the phoenix once sat, there is only a pile of gray ash. This is the part of rebirth that no one likes to talk about. The waiting. The emptiness. The silence after the fire. Because transformation does not always feel glorious when you are inside it. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes it feels like the end of identity. Sometimes it feels like everything that made you who you were has been burned away. But ash is not nothing. Ash is evidence. It says something happened here. Something endured heat. Something gave itself to the fire. Something old has been reduced to its essence. Wind moves across the desert and carries a thin cloud of ash into the air. Rain begins to fall, hissing softly against the remaining embers. Steam rises. Water meets fire. Cooling meets heat. The spirit is being tempered. And beneath the gray, something remains. A small glow. A spark that cannot be extinguished. Hidden in the ash is a strange, egg-like shape, half charcoal, half gold. It looks fragile, but it has been forged in the heat of the past. A fox comes close, sniffs the ashes, and walks away. The world moves on, unaware that a miracle is forming beneath its feet. This is how renewal often begins. Not with applause. Not with recognition. But in secrecy. In stillness. In the place where the world thinks nothing is happening. Moonlight touches the ash, and the golden shell pulses once, then again, like a heartbeat, like memory returning, like the sun hiding underground. The phoenix is not only one myth, it is many. In Egypt, the Bennu bird was linked to the soul of the sun, rising again with the dawn. In Greece, the bird of fire became a metaphor for the mind that survives destruction. In China, the Fenghuang symbolized harmony, balance, and the union of opposing forces. In Slavic tales, the Firebird carried the light that chases away darkness. Different cultures, different names, one truth. Life returns. The circle closes. The circle opens again. A snake sheds its skin. A moonflower blooms in darkness. A green shoot breaks through cracked earth. A butterfly rests on gray ash. Everywhere, nature repeats the same message. The old form must be released for the new form to arrive. The shell glows brighter. The heartbeat grows louder. The long night begins to end. Then, suddenly, the egg cracks. A sound like metal breaking in the sun. A line of gold splits the surface. Light spills through the opening. A small, wet wing pushes out from the ash. Then a beak. Then a head. Then a body trembling with the effort of becoming. The young phoenix rises from the remains of the old. Weak, but perfect. Covered in dust, but alive. It stands on the ash pile and opens its eyes for the first time. Clear, bright, untouched by fear. The world is new, even though it has been here for ages. It shakes the dust from its feathers. New gold begins to spread across its body. One feather grows, then another. Sunlight hits the young bird and turns it iridescent, as if the sun recognizes its own child. The phoenix drinks a single drop of morning dew. The first taste of existence. Its wings stretch. Its legs test the ground. Its golden talons press into the ash. A soft chirp escapes its beak. The first note of a new song. And all around it, the world begins to answer. A pine seed sprouts in burned soil. A scar heals on human skin. A city rebuilds after disaster. A forest returns after lava. A butterfly emerges from a chrysalis. A diamond shines. Carbon refined by pressure. The lesson is everywhere. What burns is not always destroyed. Sometimes, it is refined. The young phoenix looks at its reflection in a small pool of water. The face staring back is not the same as before. It is younger, sharper, brighter. But somewhere behind the new eyes lives the memory of the flame. That is the truth of rebirth. You do not return empty. You return changed. You return carrying the wisdom of what you survived. The bird lifts its head toward the sun. A pulse of light glows from its chest. The internal fire is alive again. Its feathers vibrate with the frequency of something divine. The desert becomes silent, waiting. Then the phoenix spreads its wings to full span. Readiness. The first wingbeat sends dust into the air. The second makes the ground tremble. A flash of fire moves through the tail. The engine starts. The eyes turn orange like the sun. Then comes the cry. Loud, clear, triumphant. The announcement of return. The phoenix leaps. For a moment, it falls. The new body does not yet fully trust the air. But then the wings catch the invisible current. The fall becomes lift. The struggle becomes flight. This is the courage to leave the ground. The bird rises above the desert. Below, the ash pile breaks apart in a gust of wind. The past is gone. Not erased, but released. The phoenix looks down once, remembering the fire, then turns toward the open sky. A golden speck in the infinite. It flies higher, toward the sun. Drawn to the source, gold dust falls from its tail like blessing. A child far below looks up and points. The impossible has become visible. The bird circles the highest mountain peak and lands on a snowy ledge, resting in the pure air. The fire within glows through its chest. It preens its new feathers with the quiet confidence of a god returning to its throne. Even the hawk passing nearby seems to bow. The king of birds has returned. But the phoenix does not rise only for itself. Its story belongs to everyone who has ever lost a version of themselves and wondered if anything would come after. Everyone who has stood in the ashes of a life they could not keep. Everyone who has felt the silence after the fire. The phoenix says wait. The phoenix says listen. The phoenix says something is forming beneath the ash. A golden feather falls from the sky and lands in an open hand. At first, it is only a feather. Then it begins to glow. The edges curl into flame. The spark is no longer only in the bird. The spark is yours. This is the final secret of the myth. The phoenix is not only a creature in the sky. It is an ina pattern, a law of the soul, a promise written inside the human heart. You will change. You will lose. You will burn. But you can rise. Not as the person you were before, not as a copy of the old life, but as something forged, clarified, and awakened. The fire does not ask permission from the past. The new wings do not apologize to the ashes. As the phoenix flies through a wall of clouds, its feathers begin to turn into stars. Its song fills the sky, then the earth, then the silence inside the human heart. The world becomes white with light. Then, one last golden feather drifts down. A gift of hope. The flame fades. The darkness returns. And somewhere inside that darkness, a single spark remains. Wait. Listen. The legend is not over. It is only beginning again.